The overarching program was to produce biosecure production zones throughout Western New South Wales. So it was targeted for more clusters of properties rather than individuals. We wanted to get as much of an area behind a secure fence that we could for the money we've got. If you've got fencing that's not quite up to standard, ferals, they generally keep moving through. So if you knock down pigs and goats in the area, generally a few weeks later, a new mob will be coming through and you just have to start all over again.
The pigs were giving us a lot of trouble, a lot of issues with eating lambs. In this paddock we're actually standing in, which isn't overly big for the area, before we had the fencing done, we marked 33% lambs in scanned ewes, so pigs were making a big impact on our production, yeah.
So previously you'd run a poisoning program for the wild pigs, or you'd muster up a lot of the feral goats and send them off, and then they'd move just straight back in. You had no way of keeping new numbers out, and as soon as there was an open space, we'd remove some, more would just move straight back in. Just seeing a lot of uncontrolled grazing pressure, both on crops and in our grazing pastures, and just the inability to control the wildlife numbers. You'd go along and you'd run your usual programs to clean them up, but without the exclusion fencing, new numbers would just move straight back in.
We'd come down here, mobs of pigs coming in, shoot them, bait them, come down the next day, same thing, more flowing through. Yeah, it wasn't real fun. A lot of work. Yeah, not much more you can say than that. It was pretty gutting, really. Yeah.
It all hits the back pocket, really. If we're feeding 300 goats, we could have been feeding probably 300 sheep in there, and sheep worth a lot more money than goats. So getting the stocking rates right was near impossible. In our cropping areas, we were seeing significant yield losses on sides where we had scrubby country where goats and pigs would go in overnight and then they'd come back. They'd come back out, and they just chew the crop right down and significantly reduce the yields.
The program's gone through over 9 properties with an area of about 340,000 hectares, and that's supplied about 350 kilometres of fencing. So it gives a much bigger area to be able to coordinate through the pest management through either aerial shooting, ground shooting, baiting, poisoning. So if you've got everyone doing ground baiting or poisoning, it's going to have a much bigger impact.
We'd already come to the decision that we needed to install the exclusion fencing. It was the only way to maintain that pressure. And then we've been working in with local land services for other aspects of our pest management program with poisoning and aerial shoots in the past. And then when we heard about the program and got on board with it, it really just fast-tracked everything.
We've always thought about doing a exclusion fence around this side of the boundary, and when the opportunity came, it made sense to get involved.
It hasn't been long enough to get true economic benefits out of it, but we know that they're going to come. Where we've got the fencing up, we can already see reduced numbers where we've cleared them out. So we're very confident that within the next 5 to 10 years, it'll be really obvious. So now we're seeing wherever we've cleared them out and reduced the internal numbers, they can't just move straight back in.
We knew there'd be some benefits in the fencing, but until we got it up, we really didn't know the full extent. The way it's slowed down the pig problem has been quite interesting to see. From getting half of our lambs, more than half of our lambs being eaten, to back up around that 100% lambing now, it's a no-brainer.
We've just got to focus on maintaining the fence and keeping our pest management program up to scratch, and we'll eventually get the numbers inside the fence down, and hopefully it'll take them a long time to build back up, if ever.
So the project's been monitored by 31 cameras set out over the 9 properties that participated. It's sort of too early to tell so far results of the cameras since we're still going through collating all the data, but initially it's shown that yes, there's been less things in the property, there's been more things stopped coming in through.
So far we've noticed anywhere that we've put up the exclusion fencing and removed those feral pigs, feral goats, they're not maintaining a presence in that habitat, and we're confident that that will allow the native wildlife to build up and flourish in those areas.
So we've seen a lot more ground cover coming through, a lot more sort of native animals that have been seen back in the region again. It's also give us a lot less of a loss from prime reduction, whether it being crops or animals.
Just means we can there's more money there to spend on internal fencing and really getting a hold of this country, really getting on top of the pigs. I won't be too worried coming into the next drought. It just makes everything easier. I think it's only going to become easier to grow crop, keep them goats and kangaroos off it.
Thanks to everyone that's been involved with this work, whether it's from all the way from the application stage to all the way to the ones that did get funded and worked with us throughout these past few years.
Yeah, support from local land services has been incredible. We already had a good relationship with them. Their support in both the program for the exclusion fencing and the ongoing management with 1080 poison grain for pigs and running aerial shoots.
Yeah, I'd say definitely if you think about doing similar programs for it, don't just look at the initial cost of the fencing or the clearing or whatever it's going to be. Think of long term, so what it's going to benefit you 5-10 years down the track sort of thing.